Welcome to episode 25 of the B Movie Club. I'm your host, Kevin. This week we'll be talking about the 1981 classic comedy Stripes, starring Bill Murray, Harold Ramis, directed by Ivan Reitman. For those of you joining us for the first time, the B Movie Club, I've said this a few times before, if you've tuned in before, so bear with me. Every week we'll pick a movie, and we'll give you guys an opportunity to go watch it. Usually it's streaming on Netflix. Then you can send me your questions, comments, favorite scenes, and then we'll talk about it on the show. Typically, you can send your questions and comments. I'm on Twitter at KD9575. Also on my Facebook page, you can leave questions there. Also, you can post it on this YouTube page. Again, this week we're doing Stripes, which basically the story is you have Bill Murray playing John Winger, who is kind of a down on his luck, kind of a loser, not going anywhere, doing anything. He was like a cab driver but quits his job. His girlfriend dumps him. His car gets repossessed. And on a lark, he's watching TV and there's like a commercial for the Army. So he convinces his buddy, who's another loser, Harold Ramis, to join the Army with him. So they go in, join the Army. Guess what? Being in the Army doesn't necessarily agree with Bill Murray because he's such a slacker and doesn't do well with authority. Bad combination. He's around this crazy cast of characters, which includes Judge Reinhold is in it, John Candy is in it. A few other people. John Larroquette is the captain, who is kind of wacky and ineffective. And hilarity ensues. What can I tell you? By the end of the movie, Bill Murray hasn't exactly turned over a whole new leaf, but he's more successful, I guess. He's like a national hero. So he has that going for him, which is nice. I watched it the other night, and it's like the first time I'd seen it in like 15 years. One of the reasons why I picked this, although it was a big hit when it came out, again, it's kind of forgotten behind some of the other Bill Murray movies, like Caddyshack or Ghostbusters, which came out a couple years later. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. There's a lot of funny scenes in it. It's a little uneven because like the change from wacky Bill Murray, who's just like, I don't care, you can kick me out of the Army, to, hey, I'm now the leader of the platoon and I'm going to rescue you from Czechoslovakia. Yeah. Kind of a departure, and there isn't really a whole lot of explanation as to why he makes this drastic change. Along the way, he starts a romance with with PJ Soles, who was like in every movie from 1978 to 1982, essentially. You can't throw a rock without hitting PJ Soles a couple times. And Sean Young, in one of her first roles, starts a romance with Harold Ramis. They're both like military police who are always there to rescue Bill and Harold Ramis when they kind of mess up. So they have that going for them. Like I said, this is directed by Ivan Reitman, who had done Ghostbusters and later did like Twins and a few other like comedies. And basically, he originally envisioned the idea of Cheech and Chong join the Army. So this was originally going to be a Cheech and Chong movie. So he had his, a couple buddies who were his script writers, wrote up the script for Cheech and Chong. And they went to the manager of Cheech and Chong and pitched them, and they were totally interested, but they asked for some ridiculous amount of money to do this. So they changed it and said, okay, we'll change it to Bill Murray. And so they brought in Bill Murray, And Bill Murray was like, okay, I'll do it, but I want the guy who plays my buddy to be Harold Ramis, who was like his real friend in real life, and, obviously had been on SCTV previously. And he figured between the two of them, he could help him, rewrite his part, make it more funny, help him with his, like, improvising, give him more, comedy ideas. So Harold Ramis went in there to audition and was just horrible. Again, wasn't known for much as a writer. Actually, he was known more as a writer than an actor. So people were kind of hesitant. And they were ready to hire Dennis Quaid to play his buddy. And Dennis Quaid, bizarrely enough, was married to PJ Soles at the time. And Bill Murray basically just said, I want Harold Ramis. If Harold Ramis doesn't do it, I'm not going to do it. So they were basically forced to plug Harold Ramis into that role. And it worked out well. I mean, again, Ivan Reitman, Bill Murray, and Harold Ramis got together again a few years later when they all did Ghostbusters together. Some other funny things about this. There's a scene earlier in the movie where Harold Ramis bets Bill Murray $3 that he can't even do 5 push-ups. And Bill Murray gets down to do them. And presumably he does it, but they don't really show him doing it. It's like they only show like his shoulders. So I'm assuming he did 5 push-ups. But if he did them, why wouldn't they just show him doing it instead of like his, you never see from his waist down. For all I know, his knees were down. Wacky. Something else that I thought was kind of interesting is that when they join the army, all these guys get like the buzz cuts. Their hairs are all buzzed, except for Bill Murray and Harold Ramis, who it's like they get haircuts. They're like much shorter, but they aren't the buzz cuts. Fashion, I don't know. I think Bill was thinning a little bit up there. I think if he actually got the full-fledged buzz, it would have exposed a few things. Sad to say. What else can I tell you about this comedy? There's one thing that also struck me is like they decided to join the army. Bill Murray's like 45 years old when he's doing this. So it's like, are they accepting a lot of 45-year-old high school dropouts basically in the army? Maybe they are. He was actually 31 when he did this, which is still a little long in the tooth. Another thing that shocked me was Harold Ramis' gigantic afro. I mean, I'd seen him in other things, but never, he looked like Dr. J with that afro. Later, like I said, they cut it down, but probably not as short as they could have. So, overall, good movie. I recommend it if you haven't seen it lately. It is streaming instantly on Netflix. Rotten Tomatoes gave it an 85% fresh. So there you go. You can't beat it. Again, it's often forgotten with all the other, comedies of that time, but it's a classic. Next week, it's a week late. Bad planning on my part, but we're going to be doing Halloween, the horror classic. Would have been better if I'd have done it, like, say, the weekend before Halloween rather than the weekend after, but like I said, I dropped the ball on that one. Classic, one of the most successful independent movies of all time. And we'll talk about that more next week. Send in your questions and comments. It is not streaming instantly on Netflix, I'm sad to say. However, on AMC, I believe there is a Halloween marathon over the next couple of weeks. Probably this past week. So if you want to, you can watch it there. Otherwise, you can just get it through Netflix, just through the mail. So there you have it. Halloween next week. As you know, I like to end every episode with a totally out of context quote from the movie we did this week, Stripes. And here it is. I don't know what kind of soldier I'll be, but if we ever get into some really heavy combat, I want you to know that I'll be behind you every step of the way.